We now know that under the shower was this hole, occupying a blind spot in the cell's CCTV cameras.
Subscribe to the channel and comment down below saying I subscribe to enter this one shoutout giveaway. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Super Top 10s. Being incarcerated 24/7 while being deprived of freedom and the things you love can sometimes drive an inmate crazy and make him desperate to break out of prison, especially if he's serving decades behind bars or a life sentencing. Some of these inmates have very bright minds and spend all day watching and analyzing behaviors and structural neglects so they can eventually find weaknesses and flaws within the correctional facility, personnel, and shift changes. With that in mind, here are 10 daring prison escapes. Number 1. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. January 19, 2001, the first major escape occurred. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman was able to bribe several people in prison to help him escape. Authorities note that upwards of 78 people helped him get from a laundry cart out of the front door of the prison and away in the darkness of night. He had masterminded this plan of action by bribing guards and individuals of influence. This is one of the most daring escapes, and while he was able to get away, many individuals received further indictments and charges for helping him escape. Number 2. Yoshi Shiritori. Yoshi Shiritori is best known for escaping from prison 4 times in 3 years. After being convicted of murder, he was sentenced to life plus 23 years imprisonment. Shiritori escaped from Aomori prison in 1936, was recaptured, and escaped from Akita prison in 1942. In 1944, he rested his handcuff in an inspection hole with miso soup, before escaping the Abagnale prison. He was caught again in 1946. Sapporo District Court sentenced him to death, which caused Shiritori to desperately find a way to escape, and in 1947, he dug a tunnel and escaped for the 4th time. In 1948, he was recaptured after admitting to a policeman that he was an escaped convict. His death sentence was revoked, and Shiritori eventually served 26 years before being paroled in 1961. Number 3. John Dillinger. He escaped from prison twice in his criminal career. During a period in jail in Indiana, Dillinger befriended a series of seasoned bank robbers who taught him to be a successful criminal. After being released at the height of the Great Depression, Dillinger immediately returned to crime. After robbing 2 banks, he was captured and imprisoned in Lima in the autumn of 1933. Dillinger used his time in jail to aid the escape of a group of inmates who he had met during his previous jail term. Inmates smuggled guns into their prison cells, which they used to escape just 4 days after Dillinger had been captured. The group then returned to the prison, impersonating Indiana State Prison officers, and successfully released Dillinger from his own cell. After another series of bank robberies, Dillinger was captured again in 1934 and sent to Crown Point Jail. The police boasted to the media that the jail was escape-proof. This proved wildly untrue when Dillinger crafted a fake pistol from a piece of wood, supposedly using shelving in his cell and a razor to carve it. Dillinger tricked a guard to open his cell and then took 17 men hostage before luring the guards back to the cell block and locking them in his own prison cell. He then fled.
But behind the brick walls, Dillinger was whittling at a piece of wooden washboard and making plans.
Number 4. Alfred George Hines. He traveled throughout Europe during his time on the run, working as a painter-decorator before being apprehended after 248 days of freedom. Hines used his rearrest to his advantage, bringing a lawsuit against the authorities and hence finding a reason to be escorted to the law courts. Accomplices supplied Hines with a padlock and attached screw eyes onto a toilet cubicle, so that while being escorted to the toilet, Hines bundled the 2 guards into the cubicle and locked them in. Escaping onto Fleet Street, Hines made for the airport where he was captured 5 hours later. Hines' 3rd and final prison escape came less than a year later, when he escaped from Chelmsford Prison. He fled to Ireland where he lived for 2 years under an assumed name before being stopped driving an unregistered car and rearrested. Following his eventual release from Parkhurst Prison, Hines became a member of Mensa. Number 5. John Girard. John Girard is the only person ever known to have escaped from the notorious Tower of London. A Jesuit priest, Girard was imprisoned for continuing to preach his Catholic beliefs when the church was under heavy persecution from Elizabethan England. During his imprisonment, he endured several interrogations, often being tortured for information. He never broke, but was eventually sentenced to death for his crimes. Desperate to escape, Girard communicated with allies on the outside via smuggled notes, written in invisible ink, made from orange juice. These allies rowed a boat into the tower's moat, and Girard was able to escape by using a rope to throw up to him. Cheating death after almost falling because of his tortured hands, Girard managed to climb down to the boat, flee England, and live the rest of his life in Rome. Number 6. Frank Morrison brothers John and Clarence Anglin. Frank Morris was able to consider escaping first. He was focused on getting out for some time and had previously been able to escape another prison. This time around, he was able to get the Anglin brothers involved. In the process of working for 6 months had allowed the men to start working towards their brave escape. They worked for months, creating a tunnel that was made through their cell out to a corridor behind their cell. They used spoons and drills that were improvised from cleaning equipment. Aside from creating a hole in their cell, they started to work on creating papier-mâché elements of their faces and body. When the night came for them to leave, they put dummy heads and pillows that made it look like they were in their cells asleep. They would go through the hole into a corridor and out of the prison. Guards heard noises as the team broke out, but they did not hear anything else, so they did not chase anyone and didn't realize that Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin were out.
They hide their progress with false grates. meticulously crafted from cardboard sheets and tobacco boxes.
Number 7. Pascal Payet. In what will become an interesting story, Pascal Payet found himself captured and imprisoned in 1999. However, in October 2001, he was able to garner a huge amount of success in his attempts to evade the law. He hijacked a helicopter with a partner. This was in Louvain in France. He hijacked a helicopter and got away. His partner was captured a few days later, but Payet was not. He would be on the run for a couple of years before his second escape would make him absolutely famous. Number 8. Escape from Alcatraz. In June 1962, 3 prisoners of notorious Alcatraz Island escaped and mysteriously went missing. A plot devised by fellow prison Alan West saw Frank Morris, John Anglin, and his brother Clarence spending 2 years digging an escape route through the cell walls and building a raft to sail to freedom. Dummies were placed in the 3 prisoners' beds to fool the prison guards, so it was not until the following morning that the guards discovered they had gone. Parts of the raft and life preservers were later found in the bay along with some of the prisoners' personal effects, leading investigators to conclude that the men had drowned. The FBI officially closed the case on the 31st of December 1979, concluding that no credible evidence emerged to suggest that the men were still alive. However, no bodies were ever discovered. Number 9. Frank Abagnale. In 1971, Frank Abagnale escaped from prison in Atlanta, Georgia. He was in prison at the Federal Detention Center in Atlanta and was mistaken for someone that worked in the prison. He was given privileges and he used those to start working on a plan to escape. He used his cunning to get a helping hand from a woman that helped him get business cards and information via a stationary print shop, which helped him prove that he was actually an inspector. After getting privileges and convincing authorities that he was being sought after by the FBI for assistance in a case, he was picked up from prison and eventually took a bus to New York, then landing in Washington, D.C., allowing him to stay out of prison for some time.
My name's Alan, Barry Allen, United States Secret Service. Your boy just tried to jump out the window. My partner has him in custody.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Number 10. Ronnie Biggs. Initially captured and sent to prison for his part in the Great Train Robbery, Biggs only served 19 months of his prison sentence before escaping from Wandsworth Prison on the 8th of July in 1965 by scaling a wall with a rope ladder and dropping onto a waiting van. He fled to Brussels via boat and then on to Paris, where he acquired a new identity and underwent plastic surgery. His 36 years on the run were spent predominantly in Australia and Brazil. On May 7, 2001, Ronnie voluntarily returned to the UK and was immediately arrested and imprisoned. He served 8 years in jail before being released on compassionate grounds in 2009. He died in December 2013. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.